Picture a lake surrounded by bones. You navigate the mountains, surrounded by a rock-strewn glacier, as the damp air hangs heavy around your shoulders. Long-departed souls seem to cast furtive glances at you from around every corner. This is not a concocted Bollywood horror fantasy or a haunted house, but a real place with mystery in Uttarakhand called the Roopkund Lake. In the winter of 1942, on the shores of a lake high in the Himalayas, a British forest guard came across hundreds of bones and skulls, some with flesh still on them. The ice melting that summer revealed even more skeletal remains floating in the water and scattered around the lake's edges. Because it was the height of World War II, there were fears that the skeletons belonged to Japanese soldiers who died of exposure while trying to sneak through India. Fearing a Japanese land invasion, the British government dispatched a team of investigators to determine whether this was true. They discovered that the bones were not from Japanese soldiers, but rather from a much older period. But what happened to them? Many hypotheses have been proposed, including an epidemic, a landslide, and ritual suicide. Nobody could solve the mystery of Skeleton Lake for 6 decades. The locals believed the bones belonged to royalty. Jasdawal, a king, embarked on a pilgrimage to Nanda Devi. He wanted to honor the goddess because he was about to be blessed with the birth of a child. While local priests warned him not to take a noisy troop to the sacred site, he ignored their advice. During the journey, the queen gave birth to a child, and the king brought dancers and other luxuries with him. All of this enraged the goddess. She believed that this was corrupting her holy land, so she unleashed a hailstorm. The goddess was enraged by the ostentatious display of festivity and pomp, and thus slew them all. Some people believe that the skeletons belonged to groups of people who came to the valley looking for magic mushrooms, known locally as Kita Jadi. Every spring, the valley is said to sprout thousands of these caterpillar fungi, which have incredible medicinal properties. The fungus is extremely valuable. In the spring, some people went in search of them and ended up in the middle of a devastating natural disaster. Scientists have concluded that the skeletons discovered near the frozen lake belonged to pilgrims and locals who died due to hailstorms. During the 2004 study of these skeletons, scientists collected bone samples and bits of preserved human tissue. They conducted DNA tests, which revealed an astonishing fact. The skeletons belonged to 2 distinct groups of people, as evidenced by differences in the bone features of their bodies. The skeletons were divided into 2 groups: family skeletons and shorter skeletons. The researchers concluded that the deaths were caused by a fatal blow to the back of their heads, not by weapons, avalanches, or landslides. The marks on their skulls and shoulders indicated that they had been struck by something round, such as a cricket ball. The lack of injuries to other parts of the body suggested that hard, round objects, possibly cricket ball-sized hailstones or ice balls, had fallen from above and killed them. According to a study published in 2019 by a team of Indian and international scientists, the remains belong not only to Indians, but also to people from Southeast Asia and faraway Greece. According to the scientists, they did not die in a single catastrophic event, but rather as a result of a series of incidents that occurred over 1,000 years. Even after numerous detailed studies and expeditions, the Roopkund Lake mystery surrounding these skeletons remains unsolved and tangled.